Hi guys, welcome back. So yes, we have to talk about it. We must talk about it. Does size matter? And the short answer is yes. Size does matter when selecting the perfect floor tile for your room. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the impact that tile size has on your bathrooms. So I might have mentioned in a previous video that I'm actually working on a renovation of the master bathroom in this home. And when trying to select the type of tile that I was going to use, one of the questions that I had was, does size matter? So when looking at the tile, a lot of times if you want a tile that has a mesh backing, those tiles will be 1x1, 1x2. Sometimes you'll find some tiles that are like a 1x3. And it was like, okay, do I go with the small tile because that's traditionally used in a bathroom? Or can I opt for a larger tile so that I could get done with tiling the floor a lot quicker? So I'm going to share some of the tips that I found when selecting your tile size for your floors. Let's get into it. So first tip is that large tiles make small rooms appear larger. The first tidbit that I ran across is that large tiles make small bathrooms appear larger. Yes. So whenever you want to make that room appear larger, using the larger tiles increases the appearance of the size of the room because there are fewer grout lines. And because there are fewer grout lines, it makes the room continuously flow, giving the appearance that the room is larger. When creating this illusion of space using these larger tiles, I do think that you should also take into account the color of the tile. We do know that you can use a large tile, but if it's a large, darker tile, it may actually make the space appear a bit smaller, or it won't have the same effect as if you use a large white, tan, or maybe even a light gray tile. The next tip that I found was that tiny tiles, those little tiles that I'm talking about with the mesh backing, actually streamline the room. So with the tiny tiles, the thought is that when trying to put the tiles or tiling between the toilet and the sink and cabinets and other items that you'll have in your bedroom, having those little tiny tiles, because there are fewer cuts and the patterns are easier to match, that actually streamlines the look of the room, making the room appear more streamlined. The next tip that I found was that using plank tiles actually add depth and texture to a room. And this can occur whether you're using this tile with a herringbone pattern or if you're using the tile as just straight planks on the floor. The reason why I think these planks really do add in that depth and that texture is because, of course, if you're using a tile that appears like a wood flooring, but it's actually a tile, those tiles actually do have like a little texture on top of the tile, just a little look of texture there. And so it adds depth. A lot of times these tiles, when you're using these plank tiles, a lot of times people use marbles or they'll use those wood looking ceramic tiles. And those tiles normally come in like very warm colors. So like either a nice warm gray or a tan or very light gray or the veining in the marble. So yes, those tiles add depth and texture to a room. Now, me personally, I love herringbone patterned floors, especially a herringbone brick, like, be still my heart. So this actually made me consider doing a herringbone marble tile, but it was a small tile. So the room would be very streamlined, but also have like some depth and some texture. But it's kind of odd to me to have one floor that doesn't match the rest of the floors. And I could not see myself recreating that same look in another room because this bathroom would have, I guess, a very unique look, and then every other room would be completely different. So for that reason, I just kind of felt like, it wasn't enough to make one room the odd man out. But anyway, the fourth tip that I found is that using odd shaped tile really does have an impact on the room. And with that impact, we're going to kind of go back into those diagonal tiles again. Diagonal tiles, or laying your tiles in a diagonal pattern, will actually make a very narrow room look wider. Like I mentioned before, if you have a very large room and you're using little different shaped tiles and you create borders around the room, creating that border will actually define spaces in the room. And by defining those spaces, you're actually creating kind of like warmth, because you're sectioning off those areas. When we're talking about large tiles, we're talking about tiles that are 12 to 18 inches in either width or length. Another thing that I want to talk about is grout color. When you're using a contrasting grout color, you're actually creating some depth in your space. So this would occur if you're using like a classic white subway tile, and then you pair your classic white subway tile with a charcoal grout color. Not my cup of tea, but it would create depth. It would make, that wall or that floor like very interesting. Wouldn't use subway on the floor though. So something that I found was actually this diagram online, just when I was like Googling pictures of floor tile, and it actually had a drawing that showed the placement of the tub, the sink, and the toilet. And what they did was they mimicked what that room would look like if they were to put in different size tiles. So I'll pop that in right here. And if you're looking at this particular design, you'll see it shows like those really small tiles really do make the room look streamlined. It's like you almost lose, your eye is lost in the fact that there are like so many grout lines that you just kind of don't pay attention to it. Whereas when you use the largest tile that's there, it really does make the room appear larger, because it takes away like that busy look that appears, with the medium sized tile. So whereas before I never thought about, tile size, now I realize, okay, size matters. I'm either going big or I'm gonna go small. So I like the small though. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and come back and see me on every Thursday so that you can spend your weekends with Winnie. Bye.